You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yep.
Melissa McCarthy.
Hey,
Melissa,
hello.
get to the money, McCarthy.
There you go.
Okay,
Oh,
she's
God.
worth $60 million.
You are such
right.
a bird. Why are you all in her money?
And is one of the
already?
top paid women in Hollywood,
She
okay?
is.
All right.
If you can locate where that money is, that would be awesome. You can just let me know with like a code or something.
Doesn't Celebrity Net Worth confuse you online? You go look and you be like, well, where's that money they say I got?
I know. Or I just like, get a call from my mom. She's like, "Oh my God, how is this possible?" I'm like, "It's not possible. That's a thing." But
You are one of the top paid women in Hollywood, though, right?
it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know who's gets what, but I'm just shocked every time I actually get paid and someone lets me to go to work. And I was like, okay. I figure at the end of the day they're gonna be like, "We figured it out. Get out of here." I'm always slightly waiting for somebody to be like, wait a minute. We're on to you. Take a hike.
I always do wonder, about the business, though, because, in this world where the gender wage gap is so real, how you been able to get your bread?
I don't know. I mean, it's a weird I think I just always fight for like what the project is. And I've got good people fighting with me. And I think it was finally when I was like, I will say no. I think that was the biggie, which is always terrifying, especially for somebody who like couldn't get work for 20 years. It's like when you're finally like, I'm going to say no and walk away unless it seems right and fair, which is, then you go cry in your car.
When did you get to that point? When the $60 million hit the bank account?
Yes. Which still, seriously, let me know where that is. No, I mean, I think pretty early on I was like, it's a funny thing. It's like you can't make a jump from like almost nothing. And I was always like, oh, wait, when do you finally make the jump that you always hear about? And then I finally was like, I'm just going to wait it out. It wasn't crazy, but I just wanted it to be fair of like, well, what's everybody else on it making?
Gotcha.
Kind of even it out. So
It worked. It paid off. It worked. It paid off. So what made you come to this show, this rinky-dink show?
This
we were talking
rinky-dink
When did you come to the
show.
ghetto?
Yeah, what made you come over to the ghetto over there?
Yeah, because nobody's listening. You guys, keep it up. Someday someone might tune in.
Maybe now.
Do you listen to the show?
Yeah, right.
Do you listen to the show?
Yes, I listen to the show, but so does everybody else in the world. Come on.
Okay. We'll
You
take
doing
that.
okay?
We're doing okay.
Yeah,
we're not 60
slightly.
million yet, but we getting
Yeah,
there.
we all right.
But you know where it is, so we'll split it. You're my only link to it.
Now, you didn't start in the world of stand-up, right?
I did, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I started doing stand-up when I came to New York. And, just clueless, dumb, which is probably good because it's the only reason I got up on stage. Because somebody's like, oh, do stand-up tomorrow night. I'm like, all right. That's it.
That
Like,
was
no
it.
prep, no common sense about it. But I was 20, and I was like, I didn't think about, like, oh, what are you going to write? What are you going to say? I just kind of jumped up on stage, which now I'd be like, there's no way. I'd be too chicken. But
What was your worst show doing stand-up since you didn't write anything?
so many. It's also like when there's a heckler, I didn't want to do like a mean show. It just was not because that can't be funny, but just because it wasn't my thing. I was telling like long, weird stories. And especially when you're starting out and you only have like 4 minutes, somebody that's like, take your top off.
Jesus
Take your
Christ.
always.
That's
That
way
guy-
before the Me Too movement,
that-
by the way.
way
No
before,
kidding.
way
That
before.
was, but that guy in a different, but that guy was in every single club to the point where you're just like, oh, has that ever worked? Have you ever yelled that at a woman and they're like, oh my God, I got to get this thing off. Like, you seem incredible.
Yeah.
But there is always, like in every comedy, which is why I stopped doing stand-up, like every comedy club always had somebody that was like just yelling crazy stuff. I'm like, let me take a guess. It's the guy in the corner alone on his like 8th drink. And then but you take 2 minutes of your 4-minute time to like, and he really was usually never going to shut up until you kind of eviscerated him. And then once you get that mean with somebody, which I didn't want to do in the first place, then to switch back into like, hey, so anyway, I'm walking to like, I just said awful things about like his family, why he's alone. You're never going to find happiness. Hey, the craziest thing happened walking down. Like to make that switch back, people were like, she's got a mean streak. Like then I'm like, I didn't want to do that. So
That's
I only
weird
did
for a
it.
guy to do because there's other clubs for that. There's plenty of clubs where you can go to see women taking their
It's called
tops
strip
off.
club, you know?
Yeah, it's
And
like
especially, I had like a wig on and like weird, like I looked kind of club kiddish, so it wasn't like I think it was just anybody who walked up there that they probably didn't think was going to punch them, that they would probably yell that at. But it was like a absolute consistent, which I just was always like, I'm just bored. Like, come on.
So how'd you make the transition? How'd you go from not really liking stand-up to, I guess, getting into films?
Well, I did. When I stopped doing stand-up, I just did like a straight acting class here, and then I went all drama. And all the rest of the time I was in New York, which was like 7 years, I just did dramatic plays. And it wasn't until when I moved to LA, I didn't know how to get an agent. I didn't really know how to do anything. So my sister gave me like a thing on the Groundlings Theater. There's like an improv theater in LA. And I went and saw a show there, and it just kind of cracked my head open. I was like, I didn't understand how they were doing all of it. And like nothing was written, and it was so funny, but it also made sense, and it just was crazy to me. So I started doing that. It was like a complete fluke. My sister literally like tore something out of a magazine.
Wow.
And that's like that's where I met my husband, most of like my good friends there.
I wanted to know, how you lost so much weight. You lost what, 75, 80 pounds?
I lost a lot. Well, it's also like over 5 years. It's not like 3 weeks ago.
Why'd you work at it? Why not just get surgery?
Because, well...
Why you say it like that? Why'd you work at it?
5 years is a long time to work at it.
Well, because I figured it would stay. Because it's like, I don't know. Because I wanted to change it without like... I don't know. I think everybody's always like kind of working on something. And I was like, if I can de-stress and just do it slower and stop constantly trying to be on something, and then it actually worked better. Like instead of being like, I'm going to not do this and only drink this and do it, like instead of the crazy plan, because I started to think about it like, that's like controlling your breathing all day. Like 14 hours in, you go batshit crazy.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just going to like mellow out, give myself a break. And after I had kids, I was just like, I have to be realistic. Like it's not gonna go fast, but I feel great. So
that's very rare in Hollywood to lose the weight naturally.
Well, I just didn't want to. I don't know. I'm too chicken. Maybe being chicken's
like
the best thing. I'm not a frightened woman, but I thought there's got to be a way. And if I wasn't rushing it, I said, I was kind of like, what's the hurry?
And it was all diet and working out?
Thank you. What's that?
All diet and working out?
Yeah, and like stop freaking out about stuff. Stop looking at the crazy things of like, who wore it better? Where it's like two amazing looking people. It's like all that stuff where we're supposed to be fighting each other and women are supposed to be being compared and stuff. Right. I finally was just like, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Like it. I think when you freak your mind out and worry about stuff, that's not like you're not gonna ever get healthier that way.
Word. Now you said you met your husband. What's his name? Ben Falcone.
Falcone, yeah.
He's a director and writer. Y'all done like 3 films together. Is it difficult balancing the personal and professional?
Oh yeah. How is that working with hubby?
It's great.
Really?
Oh my God, that's how we met. We met at the Groundlings. So he was like my favorite person to write with. He's super funny.
Oh, so y'all been together for like 20-something years?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's not in it for the money.
Yeah.
That's a good guy. He's not in it for the money. He's got in it for $60 million. He's a great guy.
No, he's like super funny, super smart, and just like weird and makes me laugh. And we immediately, like, we became really good friends right away at Groundlings. And we were always the ones like, let's just write together because it was easy and fun. And then I was pretty sweet on him early, and then that all worked out. And it's easy with him. It's like we get to go to work together. It's like we're stupid all day. He's like even Steven, and so he's like a super mellow guy. So to have that as a director, and they're really funny and like watching out for you, it's like it's like the dream.
It's never too far. It's never, babe, do this, or never, you have to do this. It's always fun, no problems.
No, because it's like, oh, what about this? And then he'll say, what about that? It's like, oh, what about green? What about yellow? And then we're both like, purple.
Got you.
Like it's a super fun, like collaborative. There's no ego. I also, I think if you get into ego stuff, you're never going to make anything funny anyway.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever held up a scene because y'all went to hook up in the trailer? Couldn't resist each other?
No. Is that sad? Listen, it's not too late.
Oh, that much time? Yeah,
is that too late?
A long time.
I'll be right back.
I was reading an article in the LA Times too with you and Maya Rudolph, and you said it's important that women of a certain age are seen as sexual on screen. Why is that important?
Said that?
Yeah.
Did I? Well, I just think seeing all facets of women, seeing women of all different ages, all different like backgrounds, just seeing real women. When you walk out in the world and people that you're friends with, it's like there needs to be a real world variety.
Absolutely.
And it's like women aren't done. I mean, and men. It's like you're not done being a human at like 22.
Yeah. You don't even life doesn't even get fun till like late 30s, early 40s.
I think 20. I mean, my 20s were fun, but I feel like you're kind of insane in your 20s.
It's dumb fun.
It's a different type of fun.
You're worried.
Yeah.
The stuff you're like such a narcissist, which is fine because you usually don't have any responsibilities. But like the stuff I worried about now, I'd be like, "What's the matter with you?"
Exactly.
Like worrying about like I don't have a shirt for tonight and we're going out. Ugh. Like if I had to listen to that now, I'd be like, "Really? That's what your biggest problem is like what you're wearing tonight?" But you can just let all that stuff go when you get a little older.
Well, you get so many free clothes now too, though. So you got you got a lot of options.
Oh my God.
Right?
I occasionally get an option. Not as much as you think. I think other people get hooked up better. I'm like, can you help me with that?
Now, Maya Rudolph was one of your close friends too. You met her at the Ground Links too, back in the day?
Yeah.
Wow.
We started the Ground Links together, Kristen Wiig. It was just kind of a crazy group when we were in that, just doing shows together. Like none of us, it's like you don't get paid there. So you're there and you're working so hard. So it's like, you've got to love it. You've got to love it or you wouldn't put up with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy group. And Maya to me is like, I would say one of the top 5 human creatures that are that funny I've ever met in my life. And like sweet, like all that goodness, all that sweetness on top of that kind of funny is like mind blowing.
Oh, hold on. I gotta ask you who the other 4 are before we move on with more Maya talk.
I say Kristen Wiig too, not just because they're friends, but like truly like they're nuts. I think Bill Hader, I don't know, Jamie Foxx really gets me. Oh, I don't know. I hate to end the list.
That's cool. You can
That's
think about
good.
it. Yeah. You'll have people calling your phone later like, "Oh, you don't think I'm top
No,
five
that's
funniest
what I
human
just
creatures?"
started thinking about that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get in trouble for this list.
And Maya's in your new movie, so that got to be fun to have your friends
Crazy.
and your husband.
Yeah, and hubby. That's dope.
It's really like it's such a good group. Like set was just pretty stupid. Like, which is a pretty good way to go to work when you're just like, if we can stop laughing long enough to like shoot it, like that's a pretty good way to spend the day. And she plays my best friend in it, Maya, and it was great because we're like, anytime we can get to work together, like we're both busy and she's, we both have kids, so it's like you don't always see each other. So to be able to be at work and just hang out and kind of do like make each other laugh like we did when we met it's kind of amazing.
How do you feel about, you used to talk about how you did stand-up and all the things that you did before. Do you think that you could do that now? Because it seems like everybody's so sensitive. There's certain jokes you can't make, certain things you got to be careful about. It's hard for comedians.
I think it's definitely different. I think it's different. I think it's definitely good that we're becoming more aware. I mean, it's kind of like about time.
Is it
on a lot of
on
a lot of fronts? I think it's how you do it. I think you still have to poke the bear. I think you still have to shine the light and hold the mirror up. And I think that's one of the great things that comedy and stand-up can do. It's like it can poke at you. If you don't do it with venom, I think you can actually make fun of a situation and what's going on and do it in a way that might actually make someone realize something. If you just come at someone hard and make them feel stupid, then I think people are going to... You're not going to change anyone's mind. No one's going to be like, like maybe this is dumb. They're just going to get mad at you.
Yeah, I always felt like intention matters because even when you watch old comedy shows back in the day, and they might have been talking about like edgy topics, but
11 Color.
It was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah, it was fun. And also they were the joke. Like they were somehow, even though they were talking about, if they wanted to like talk about something, they put themselves in as the butt of the joke, which immediately makes you more able to kind of like take it in and like laugh at it and realize maybe this is stupid. It's intention for sure, I think. But when somebody really is like, if you're trying to make a point, like I don't think anybody really wants to be preached to when they're trying to have a good time.
And then you go on social media, people are just trying to get attention. So everybody's looking for that viral moment, even when they're like on stage or at a show or something. They just want to say something that they'll know go viral.
and why it's to like whoever can be the like the nastiest and the meanest. That's what my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm always like, if you put like a quarter of that energy in of like, if you want to be noticed, then like figure out how. But just saying really incredibly mean, hateful things. I always just think, what does that person walk around with all day? Are they just like
They're miserable.
They're just like toxic. Yeah, they're miserable. And it's always like, 3:32 in the morning in like Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you're like,
Right.
Someone's in like their parents. That's not someone who's like, I just had the most amazing day. I'm so happy. Let me just write this quick hate mail.
Yeah.
And, like, no one's doing that.
We call that thumb thugging. That's what we call that.
Yeah.
And misery loves company, and social media provides you company 24/7, 365. I saw you tell people that you ignore your online trolls.
I just don't read any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never tried to get better at figuring out like some social stuff because I'm just like, I don't want to. It's not going to improve me. I'm not going to like, oh, so and so in Indiana hopes I die tonight. I'm like,
Right.
You know what? I'm going to take that note and try to apply it. It's like when it's so awful, I'm like, if I'm right with my kids and my family, and then I'm okay. Like I'll take any creative note or like positive, not positive. Doesn't have to be positive, but like when it's just crazy, like, I hope you and your family die in your sleep. It's like, okay, that did not help my situation.
Well, after this interview, you're going to have a bunch of people tweeting you saying, take your top off.
I hope somebody yells at me today. I'll be like, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll consider it.
I wanted to know how did you get into comedy? When you graduated from high school, what made you say, I want to take this comedy lane? And were your family supportive?
Weirdly, yes, but it took
Really?
a while because I thought I was going to do women's clothing. So I was like, I want to go to FIT. I want to do women's clothing. That's it. That's all I wanted to do since grade school.
Wow, you used to sew or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my grandmother was a seamstress, and I just loved it. That's like what I did, and I made a bunch of my clothes. And then my parents were like, "You're not going to New York. You're going to kill yourself," which is possibly true. I was a bit crazy, so I went to college.
What do
Didn't
you mean crazy? Crazy meaning what? Like
just like I went out a lot.
you party?
Yeah,
Oh, so where you from?
yeah, Illinois.
Illinois. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Got you.
So it's like I found, a little farm town, but then all of a sudden it's like we started going out downtown Chicago, and I was like, what? Wait, there's like clubs, there's music.
Or you were a drinker then?
We were drinking, but mainly it was like going from like tiny farm town to like a club
Gotcha.
where we could
Culture
dance
shock.
all night. It was like to go back. I was like, I'm going to go. No offense. I love where I grew up, but I was like, I can't go to like the local football game when I'm like, I'm going to go to the Metro and like dance all night.
Yeah, like
And
it's paved roads at the Metro.
It's not that old.
people have all their teeth. No. But it was just like once you see that, it's too exciting. And then I was just laser for New York. I was like, I got to get to New York. But I didn't get here. It took like a year and a half of college and then like a weird layover in Boulder, Colorado. And then I had a friend like, why are you not in New York? I was like, I have no idea. So I moved here. And then the first night I was with my friend that let me move in with him. And he's like, you're going to do stand up tomorrow night. And I was like, all right.
So you didn't have no practice. He just said it, and you just
No. And I did like the second night we went to stand up New York and I just did it.
Wow.
And then I called my mom the next day and I was like, so a little change of plan. I'm not going to finish school. I'm going to do stand up. And for some insane reason, she's like, oh, okay.
Really?
Well, if that seems good.
She probably thought it was just growing pains. She was like, whatever, let's
No,
just
she
figuring
said
it out.
she thought she goes, and because I asked her, it's weird. I didn't ask her for like probably until 5 years ago. I was like, it just occurred to me that was like the worst advice you could have.
Worse.
Like, what on earth made you be like, oh, okay? She goes, well, I thought fashion people seemed very unreliable. And she goes, I didn't like that world. She goes, it didn't seem like you could make a living at it. I'm like, and you thought stand up?
Stand-up?
I was like, that was your. That's what I said. I said, it worked out, but my God, don't go out of your way to give advice to people because that's terrible advice.
Yikes. So you had somebody to live with in New York. Because I know people are hearing the story and they're like, okay, Illinois to New York. So you had somebody to stay
Kind
with.
of. My friend said I couldn't. He's like, come and live with me. So I showed up. I had like, I think 35, somewhere between around like $35. dollars And I showed up at what I thought was his apartment. And this woman came out of the bedroom and she's like, who are you? And then I realized, oh God, I think he's sleeping on the couch. he's just crashing here. And he has invited me with all my bags. And I'm now standing in this woman's living room who's looking at me like, get out. And I was like, I think I'm moving in here. And she was just like, can we, like, it was a whole thing. But
Who was the woman?
Like a random friend of his that I think liked him, but they weren't like, I was never discussed, clearly. I showed up like with my bags and this woman was like, who the hell are you? I was like, great question. I'm going to sleep on your floor. She did not love me.
Did you offer any services? Like, I can cook, I can clean. I
was so panicked to be like, why have I moved here? I have no money to like take care of myself. And I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't get like a hotel. I couldn't, like, there were no options. So
was y'all three living in this?
We did, but for real, my friend and I went and got an apartment. We got our first apartment in the Hell's Kitchen, like right away.
Are you still cool with him? You still speak to him?
Yeah, I talk to him all the time. Yeah.
Does he ever ask you for a loan? It's like, look, hey, Melissa, you work
No,
$60
he's
million.
good. He's good.
Now, y'all did a reboot of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And it was an all-male franchise before. It clearly was all female when y'all did it. Did you learn anything new about sexism in Hollywood when y'all did that?
Well, just that people need hobbies. People need to fill their time with other stuff, because literally saying like, "You ruined my life,"
Did they
and
say
like,
that for real?
oh my God, like so many. This was before we started filming. Just the concept of women doing that thing. There were so many like things online that was like, "You're ruining my life. You're ruining my childhood." I was like, if that's going to ruin your childhood, I'm going to guess it was pretty bad to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we did it. Like,
How sexist and misogynistic do you have to be to think women can't kill ghosts? Something that we're not even sure exists.
That is a little crazy.
oh my God! I never really just thought about like it's all fake. Like, yeah. Well, I can't say that the people saying that are people that I'm like, they seem to be really smart. I bet they really thought this through. But yeah, that's saying it like that is like kind of amazing.
Were you a Ghostbuster fan?
Yeah,
Really?
I did. Like it's like it was just such a. Even when I still watch it, like when I got it, it was the first time I let my kids see it, and I realized that like that's I really remember, it made me sentimental. Like I remember seeing that, and I also remember thinking like, oh my God, this is amazing. The ghosts look so real, and you watch it again now, you're like,
It was corny.
okay.
Did you know did you shoot in New York? Because you know the firehouse is right around the corner.
We shot it.
Oh,
we
you
shot
it
there.
over
That's
okay.
where we shot. We shot mostly in Boston, and then we came for the firehouse and shot there.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because you're from a small farm town. I'm from the country, too. I'm
Yeah.
from South Carolina, so you ever saw one growing up?
I think I saw my great grandmother lived with us, and when she passed away, like I know that I saw her, and my mom came upstairs, and I was like, "Grandma was," and she's like, "What?" I was like, "Grandma was in my room," and she's like, "You were in there talking to somebody." So
How old were you?
like 7,
Really?
yeah, but it didn't scare me. It didn't scare me or anything. It wasn't. Yeah, and I just think, who knows where we go, where you like. I believe in all that.
What did she tell you? You're going to be worth $60 million one day? Or what did she say? Like,
She said, "You are going to be worth." No,
do you remember the
I
convo?
don't remember
Yeah.
any talking. I just know that she was in my room, and that's all. And I just remember it didn't feel scary. It didn't. And then my other grandmother passed away, and I was driving, and I was upset because I was living out here at the time and just found out like she's just passed away, and I was trying to like literally drive somewhere where I could pull over because I was crying in the car, and I reached over, and you should really reach to get to like your glove compartment, and I opened it, and out flipped a picture of my grandma.
Wow.
That I guess had been in there. I drove it out from Illinois, this car. I had not opened my glove compartment, nor I have no idea why I had a picture of my grandma in it. Literally flipped up and ended up on the passenger seat face up.
Wow.
Like, and I had not opened it. I'd had the car for like 3 years. So it wasn't like, oh, I just put it in there because I was thinking, like it came out of nowhere. And then when I finally pulled over, I was like, oh, everything's fine.
You know how
Like
cool
she's good somewhere.
your mom is? As a 7-year-old, you were talking to yourself and your mom didn't pay it any mind. No problem. And then you said you want to come to New York and be a comedian. And your mom said, cool, no problem. Like your mom is the coolest mom.
She's
a lot of
pretty.
freedom.
She didn't ever work in like guilt. No guilt, no shame. Not that we didn't get in trouble, like
Right.
plenty of trouble, plenty of like, she was not like a fool in any way, but like if you wanted to do something, and my dad too, like both of them, like no matter what you said you wanted to do or thinking about, they're like, if you work hard enough, why not? Like, why not you? Like you have as good a shot at something as anybody. But they were never like, you're perfect. Of course you'll get it. They were like, you have to work so hard, and you have a chance at it.
Did you always have big dreams? Like you knew you was going to transcend your circumstances from that small farm town?
Yeah, I kind of knew I wouldn't stay there. And I did. I had a really good childhood. It wasn't like, oh, it was terrible, but I knew I was like antsy to not be on a, Did you know? Did you know you went to get out of there?
Absolutely, 100%. But it was because of books and music, though. I read a lot of books. My mother was an English teacher, so I read like a lot of Judy Blume and Beverly Clearly growing up.
That like breaks my heart. Literally, like my eyes just went to hearts. I was like, see, like the thought of you sitting around reading Judy Blume makes me just want to be like, oh my God, that's so, oh my God.
We had the booking programs. You had to read 4 books in a week to get a free pizza. So I had to read a bunch of stuff. And my mother would always tell me, read things that don't necessarily pertain to you. So I'd read all of these stories about
that's like the great,
these women.
That's an amazing piece of advice, of like read stuff that's not specifically geared to you.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So music and books let me know that it was a world bigger than my small dirt road in Moncks Corner.
You could tell who's from New York and who's from South Carolina.
Yeah.
We played basketball, handball, football.
Oh, they so bougie, aren't they? They're so entitled.
Basketball is bougie.
Yeah, because we don't see that type. Well, we do say basketball, but y'all got actual players that walk around. Like you can say, I want to play for the Knicks one day. We didn't have no professional team in South Carolina.
Well, that's why I'm still bad on a bike, and people are like, "How are you bad on a bike? Like, didn't you ride like we spent all summers we spent after school?" I was like, "Well, first of all, I was out on a farm, a gravel road farm by myself, so
it wasn't
you
gravel.
wiped
Stop
out.
it. It was dirt. Really?
It was gravel. Well, and then the gravel would go away and it'd be dirt for a while, and then we get like a new load of gravel. That was like, guys. I'm here to tell you that's an exciting time.
That was the life of the
when
party.
When you life of the party is new gravel. No, I remember being like, wow, the new gravel's here. Just alone on a farm. So I'm still weird on a bike, but people are always like, what's the matter with you? I'm like, I grew up on a corn and soybean farm, and I'm not comfortable on a bike.
You probably hate corn now.
Well, you couldn't eat this corn.
Oh,
it was like for feed, and everybody would always come and be like, I'm sure you can eat it. And we're like, you can't eat it. It's for feed. And everybody, although I'm like, well, we just live here. What do we know? And everybody would always be like, if they were there for the night, like, we're just going to boil some because we're pretty sure you can eat it. And then we just watch everybody like, oh, because it's a different variety. Like, you can't get your teeth in. And we just sit there, and it was like a weird thing that happened like 10 times a year. We're like, go ahead, boil that corn.
Definitely. I grew up with a cornfield around me, too, and I never thought about it. I guess it was for feed.
Yeah, and then we also grew up with soybeans, but I didn't know about edamame until I got to New York. And then I was like, what is this mysterious edamame? And they're like, it's soybeans. I was like, oh, wait, were we surrounded with this? And my mom and dad said the same thing. They were like, I don't know. We never thought to, because it all went to like cattle feed.
Got you.
So I'm like, were we just surrounded by something we couldn't have eaten, but we didn't know?
Well, what's your favorite, do you diet? I was about to ask you what's your favorite cheat meal.
Oh, so many things. It's a pet. Well, I'm not afraid of pizza.
I'm not afraid of it.
I'm not afraid of it.
Never got tired of it growing up in New York all those years?
No.
Yeah.
Pizza? Do you get tired of it?
Yeah, man, but I like commercial pizza. I like Pizza Hut.
Because it's got like 2 sticks of butter in it.
Yes. Oh, the crust is so
good. It's like the secret is the 42 pounds of butter.
Exactly. Are you a religious or spiritual person?
I'm spiritual.
Okay.
I grew up Catholic, but it doesn't suit me. Mm-hmm. How's that?
How's
that? I've never said that before. But I totally, I totally believe in God and all that. I have. Sometimes I think I have like a higher feeling towards God than people that follow a specific religion.
I can tell because you took extreme leaps of faith throughout your life.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
I don't think you progress or move. I think we're supposed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the only thing that can make you say, you know what, I'm going to leave from this small town and go to New York with $35.
Yeah.
That was a leap of faith.
And
and
no, It's only dumb if you fail.
It's true.
It worked out. So
When you end up worth $60 million,
God.
okay, it's perfectly fine.
Now, are you up on everything that's going on in social media? Kanye West?
No, none of it.
None of it?
No.
You don't know what's going on with Kanye?
I know he said some, I'm like, I know there was something, like, I know he wore like a Trump hat, but I don't follow any of it.
Really?
It just swirls for me, and I always think, is this relevant? Like, is it just going to go away? It's like somebody just screaming through a room, and then somebody else going to do it 2 days later. I'm like, like unless it really is like something where like you need to know that, but the like just waiting around. Also, it's like if I don't really know someone, I'm like, maybe it's none of my business.
Right.
Like, you know.
Plus, the news cycle moves too fast.
Moves very fast.
There's, yeah, and that's what you kind of have to pick. There's so much that I'm like, you kind of have to pick and choose of what's, and it's already so hard to get information. I feel like there's so much other stuff, and if you actually just try to watch the news, it's like useless. So, how
do you feel like you even get people to go out and see the movie? Like, you got Life of the Party coming this weekend. How do you do you think people are even listening when you?
Hello. Is it my riveting soybean stories that got you?
Do you check for retweets when you tweet about it? Like, you tweet out the movie? Like,
no, I've never. Okay. I don't even know how to do that. Like, I've just figured out. Like, I know how to put things on Instagram, and that. I mean, but I'm still like, it's still like watching a monkey do it. I mean, I'm literally like. But I've like finally figured that out. Just because, like Twitter freaks me out. Is it like an Instagram thing, a visual?
Well, you can link it. You can link your Instagram. It'll automatically go on your Instagram, your Facebook, and your Twitter.
I know that there's those buttons there.
Oh boy,
Melissa, hire somebody. Okay, you're worth $60 million. I'm sure your assistant can figure out how to link your social media accounts.
It's linked, but like Twitter is weird for me because it's like when you send like a sarcastic email that's like you didn't mean it to sound.
Yeah.
So I'm like a picture I can put out, and for the most part, I don't think people put things on Instagram where they're like, "I hate you." Like, it's usually like, "Oh, here's a weird thing or a cool thing." It's a little more positive. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of hard to just really show. But Twitter, when people just get on and say stuff, I'm always like, you can put something on Twitter, and I put something on once, and it was taken. Someone who's like, "You're the problem with America. Like, we hate you now." And I was like, I said something super positive. I was like, I'm done.
Never again.
I was like, and it's not my place to be. I'm like, I have no advice for people. It's not my place to be putting that out there. I'm like, I'll do my work, and that's how I try to make people happy with it. Like, my goal is that you go to a movie, and for an hour and a half, like, you forget your problems, you just laugh, you escape. I'm like, that's really what I spend my life trying to do. It's like the goal is to make people happy.
Right.
So, I think that's how I can put what I have in here out there. I don't need to do it through like, well, I think.
Gotcha.
And I'm just not that kind of. Some people do that really well. I don't do it well.
But even those positive messages reach the people that want to receive them. The people that want to hate you going to hate regardless.
That's true.
Because I can put "thank you God for blessing me with another day of life," and every morning there's somebody telling me they want me to die.
Well, you give people donkey a day. So
what's that?
He gives people donkey a day sometimes.
Well, I mean, I give people the credit they deserve for being stupid. That's what the segment is about. Like, everybody deserves some of that credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Roman Polanski got it this morning because he's suing the Academy. How are you suing the Academy when you drugged and raped a woman in 1977? Walk away. Die. Tell the Grim Reaper, check, please. Like,
it's like it. Yeah, that's why I'm always like, that's first of all, really.
Yeah.
You're shining the light on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you kind of be like, I'm just gonna lay in this dark corner and hope no one notices?
Yeah, and then had the nerve to say the Me Too movement is hypocritical. Like, you.
Well, yeah.
Roman Polanski.
Kind of makes sense. It's like, I mean, in a weird way, it makes sense if people like don't. Yeah. That's a terrible movement. I'm like, yeah, to you, it is.
Yeah.
Have you ever been
like, usually you're not that dumb to say it.
Yeah, it's almost like Roman is like, look, I've been on this committee forever. Y'all been knew I raped this girl and fled the country. Why now? You want to kick me off?
Well, I'm always amazed when someone's like, that was so long ago. I'm like, probably not to her.
Exactly.
And have you ever been affected by it at all?
I think with pay and stuff, I think it always comes up, or I think whenever you look around at a crew and you see that, like, why are there almost no female cameramen, or there's just whole certain areas where you're like, this is weirdly slanted. I think part of me not working till I was older, I kind of bypassed some of that in the sense of, by the time I started working, I had enough experience to not be kind of taken advantage of it that way. And also I'm pretty blunt with things. So, but I think, people that start early, and I think I know so many people things have happened to, and the fight to just be heard and the fight to make things right is, I'm always shocked when someone's working against that. I'm like, how can you work against something that's like so clearly wrong?
Yeah, I mean, why are you holding on to the right to harass women?
Well, that's what a lot of guys seem like I put out a timeout, a thing on my, I think that's the thing that went out on Twitter, and it was like, stop sexual assault, stop sexual harassment, like 3 things that were like nothing but like, hey, stop murdering people. And somebody was like, I'm pro-murder.
Jesus Christ.
But that's the one they said, like, you're the problem with America. And I wanted to like go to the person's house and be like, just for my own brain, are you saying you're definitely for sexual assault and sexual harassment? Because otherwise it's like you putting out a nice thing about like being appreciative for living another day, and somebody slamming that. You're just like, I always kind of want to like see the person, be like, are you okay? Like what's going on today? Like, don't drive because you seem like a real mess.
Right.
Well, if you do drive without a seatbelt. That's what I would recommend. And don't look both ways when you're crossing the street either.
Close 1.5 eyes. Yeah. That's all we're saying. Just a peek out. Just drive around an empty parking lot.
Do you think having a husband helped you too? Kind of? Maybe protected you from a lot of that stuff?
I think I was just not like, I met him early enough on. I wasn't like trying to date or trying to, we're pretty boring, but I think that certainly gave me a feeling of security that if something would have happened, I think I had the support of some, Ben would have said, like, we're going to speak out. Or problem is, a lot of times so many people spoke out and it didn't.
Nobody believes.
It falls on deaf ears.
Right.
Now you and Tiffany Haddish will be starring in a movie together.
I just met her.
The Kitchen.
I just met her. It's she's a force of nature. Like, she's a force of good. Like, she's sweet and fun, like crazy funny. So we
addictive energy.
Yeah, you just kind of like, I was just in from like the second I met her. I'm like, yep, this seems like I'm just gonna be like, keep going, keep saying stuff. She's great. We start tomorrow.
Really?
Wow.
Why are you not somewhere sleeping? What's wrong with you?
Because you have a movie to promote.
Jesus.
I'll just take that opportunity. You guys don't mind if I just nod off for a minute, do you?
And it's not a comedy y'all doing, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's a drama. It's Hell's Kitchen, 1970s, and we kind of take over the Irish mob.
Nobody's gonna be expecting that. You and Tiffany Haddish in a movie, they're expecting it to be comedy, and y'all doing a drama.
I know, which I kind of love.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's such a good script, and Elizabeth Moss is doing it too. It's a really cool story. But yeah, it's not funny.
What advice would you give Tiff? Because y'all kind of blew up in a similar way. You with Bridesmaid, her with Girls Trip, and now you're worth $60 million. So what advice would you give?
We call him a bird because all he talks about is your money. Go ahead, bird. But go ahead.
What advice would I give her?
Yeah.
Not a word.
Really?
She doesn't need. She does not need. She is clear and on her path. She knows, like, you just feel it in her. And when she talks about stuff, we went out to dinner and you just know she sees what she wants, how to get it, and I mean that in a really like good way of like I'll work this way. And she's also like right in her element.
Right.
I always think it's really exciting when you meet somebody who's doing something that you're like, this is like, what if you weren't doing this? Like, you're so built to do it, and you found it, and you figured out how to do it better than almost everybody else. Like that, I'm always like, I get like goosebumps where I'm like, you found it and like hit it hard. I always think that's really no, it doesn't matter what it is. Could be cooking, could be painting, could be music, But when you see someone drop into that, you're just like, I don't know. It's pretty exciting.
Do you feel like
who paid for dinner? Y'all both went out for dinner.
Oh, listen.
We let the director play. We just both walked out.
There you go. Hey.
We just dropped our forks and just walked out.
Yeah, Tiffany got a Groupon on you.
But see, I got a rule that I don't pay for dinner if I'm with somebody that got more money than me. I think that's insulting to them.
Do you say like?
No, I fake. I fake. I'll be like, oh, I got it.
You go alligator arm?
Yeah, I fake.
Can't get to the wallet?
Yeah, I fake. I got it. And they be like, no, on me. Then they pull out the black card and be like,
if we ever go to dinner, I'm just gonna wait it out and be like, oh wait, you can get in that back pocket. I know you can.
Do you feel like women of color, or women in general, and women, but specifically women of color, get overlooked in comedy?
For sure. I think for so long, women in general were always kind of like the parts in the actual characters were given to men, and then the woman was just kind of there to be like, oh, Jack, and like that's it. Oh, Jack. Oh, Tom. Oh, Phil. I mean, it's like I always want to put together a montage of just how many actresses had to just stand there and go, and always kind of a bummer. So they have like a fun husband, but the wife's always like. I was like, why is every woman a bummer? And then certainly like women of color, like there's such a void. Again, it goes back to that, like I want to see the real world. It's like it's funnier, it's certainly more interesting. It's like when you clean it all up and it's like every woman's like done perfectly, and it's like I like a hot mess. Like it's better to see a story about somebody real where you're like you can kind of relate to them. Either you're glad you're not them or somebody like them, as opposed to like when it's always like the perfect woman in the perfect outfit. I'm like, I don't really know any of those women. Right. I'm sure they're out there. I'm like, they're not my, like, I don't relate to that. So.
But that's probably why you're so successful, because people can relate.
Maybe. I mean, I try to, and it's been tricky because sometimes it's, when we did Tammy, and I was like, this is a woman who's like, it was our first movie together with Ben, and she was a mess, but I was like, well, the whole point is she's a mess, and she doesn't have a lot of like, she doesn't think she's kind of worth a lot of stuff. But it was so interesting. There were so many reviewers that were like, so crude or grotesque. Like one guy kept saying like, you're grotesque characters, and I was like, grotesque? It's like, what's grotesque? And he's like, it's so crude. And he kept talking about crude. And I was like, can I just ask, like, what you're saying it as if I'm agreeing with you. And I keep saying, I'm not agreeing with that. It's, where's the crudeness come in? He goes, well, just, in general. And I was like, no, you've got to tell me, what do you mean by crude and grotesque? He goes, well, how you looked. Yikes. And I was like, would you say that to a guy playing a character from somebody who's like a total mess? If he had like, if he just looked kind of terrible because his life was falling apart. I'm like, would you ever ask a guy that? And he goes, no, it's just that, you didn't even have makeup on. And I was like, there we go.
Wow.
But I was like, but you use like crude and grotesque about that. So but that kind of like fueled me to be like, I can't listen to any of that stuff. Like, you may hate the story or like the story. I love my characters because they are flawed, and I never want to stop doing that, because I think those are real women, and I love those women. What
about that critic? Did you write his name down and slip it to the Time's Up people? Like, hey,
no, but I do. Like, I'm like, what was his name? No, but I did call him out on it. This was in front of like 40 people. Mm-hmm. He kept saying that, and I finally was like, you need to explain yourself. If you're gonna rip me apart, like, explain what you mean. Right. And then by the time he said, well, you weren't even wearing makeup, I was like, and I'm done with you.
Yikes.
Because I was like, you just like, did you hear what Kate, like, because I wasn't wearing makeup, you found it like an abomination on film. I was like, and then you don't care about him anyway. Like, once I got that straight, I was like,
didn't matter.
I don't care. Like, there's nothing you can say to give me value.
Well,
do you feel like you have to?
Out. Hold on, she has to go now.
Oh, my bad. I was gonna say, do you feel like you have to be an ally of women because of that?
I think I am. I mean, I hope I am. Mm-hmm. I certainly feel like we're better. We're better united. I think people always want to play that women are against each other. I'm like, I feel like women have got my back, and I don't think that's a real thing of pitting that women just want to like tear each other down. I'm like, I don't think that's real. I think it's like a topic or a headline or something that people like to conjure.
Well, tell us about Life of the Party. It comes out May 11th.
May 11th.
Tell us about this movie.
Bring
now.
your moms. Bring your kids.
Oh, it is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Damn, I should have remembered that, right?
Yeah, you should have
I do have a
remembered
mom and a
I
wife.
was like-
Mom and your wife, yeah. Maybe you should remember.
I was like, you may want to make some calls to a flower shop today. No, I love this movie. I was surrounded. It's about, I play Deanna Miles, who's dropping her daughter off at college, kind of empty nest. They're going to go on second honeymoon. It's like mom, wife, like really happy life. And I was not supposed to rhyme. And then literally the second my daughter's out of the car, my husband says like, I don't love you. I want a divorce.
Wow.
And just kind of rattles everything that I know. Like we had our retirement set, like all this stuff we were supposed to do. And it's just like, nope, it's all the rug's pulled out. So after kind of a mild, a pretty good freak out, I kind of realized like, oh, I was a mom, I was a wife, but like, where did I go? Like what was left for me? Mm-hmm. And one of the things she really regretted was never finishing school. She's a little like me. So, and it's kind of based on my mom, just in terms of she's really positive and decides to go back to school, but she goes back to college where her daughter's attending. So her daughter's a little like, glad you're getting it together, but maybe not here. But it turns out it turns out to be really positive, and she kind of finds out who she is as a person and a woman instead of just like the mom, the wife.
Gotcha.
And she doesn't regret any of that. And for me, I really wanted to show a mom and daughter that loved each other and weren't against each other. Like you always see like the eye rolling daughter and the mom who's like a nightmare. And I was like, that's not who I know. It's not my mom. It's not so many of my friends' moms. And all these young women and young actors were in it. And it was just like infectious to be around that, to be around like that many like early 20s, people just, I don't know, there was an energy in that like the set was really fun. Like there was just, it was just awesome. I think it shows in the movie too. We had such a good time.
I know you got to go, but why'd you feel like you want to go back to college? What did you feel like you missed?
Now I would just love to take like random classes. I wouldn't go back but the thought of like, which I couldn't appreciate at 18, like sitting through like a history class or sitting through anything like an art, whatever the class is, I'd be like, this is great. Like I would love to do like random classes now. At 18, I was just like,
I was trying to get out.
Yeah,
I was trying to get out. Yeah.
I feel like everybody in life should go through that whole phase. And most of the time, college is like that whole phase.
Yeah.
Where you just do whatever you want to do sexually.
I think I did that. Oh, there's that. I think I was doing that. I just wasn't.
I did that part of it.
Are you saying you went through your whole phase, Miss McCarthy?
I just wasn't attending classes.
We got you.
I had a great, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun at college. I just, I didn't learn anything.
Gotcha.
But there you go.
Oh, now we know
Later I learned. I feel like Groundlings was my college, so
Gotcha.
that's where I like actually buckled down on. But thank you for giving the name, my whole face.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you for coming by
Thank
this
you
Ricky
so
Big
much.
Show.
Yes, Life of the
Thank
Party
you.
in theaters this weekend.
That's right, Melissa McCarthy.
Did your mom and wife present?
Will you give me a loan? You're worth $60 million.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.